What's going on? This is Kareem from DJBooth.net, and I'm here to give you guys a quick rundown video review of the new Pioneer DDJ-RR compact yet professional Rekordbox DJ controller. So if you guys remember, a few years ago we actually reviewed the Serato DJ counterpart of this Pioneer DJ controller, the Pioneer DDJ-RR, and we found it to be one of my favorite of all time digital DJ controllers for Serato DJ. The main reason for that was because the price point was good, it had a lot of features, and it had this nice, small, and compact footprint without being too crammed in at the same time. So the DDJ-RR basically has the same exact casing as the DDJ-SR, so you have the same size form factor, you have the same style of playback using this. The main difference being that the SR, again, is for Serato DJ, and this is for Rekordbox DJ, hence the name RR. So the quick review of this that we have for you guys today is going to go into all of the details of the device. We're going to show you everything that this thing has to offer, all the differences between this and the SR, including the addition of the new sequencer. These new inputs here are DVS Rekordbox ready, meaning you can plug in external record decks or CDJs, and you can control the playback in Rekordbox DJ using those external decks as well. And there's a few other differences that you guys will see here too, such as the color and also the RGB backlit pads, but we'll get to all of that when we get to it. Right now, let's take a quick deep dive into the Pioneer DDJ-RR controller and show you guys everything that's under the hood. Okay, so first up, we're going to take a look at the inputs and outputs of the DDJ-RR. All the way to the left, you have your Kensington lock, so that way you can lock it down. You have a booth TRS output, as well as a master RCA and a master XLR. Next up, for your inputs, you have a channel 1 and channel 2 input. Again, these are DVS Rekordbox software ready, so that way you can plug in your external turntables or your external CDJs using your line or phono switch that you see here in order to play back the tracks that are found within your Rekordbox DJ software. So you'll be able to scratch with your turntables or use your CDJs with this setup as you see fit. You also have a ground post here, and you can also change line and phono with the switch, and you can also use PC mix as well. Next up, you have your microphone TRS or 1/4 inch socket, and you also have your USB dongle here and your DC in. All the way over to the side, you have a cable rack here, so that way you can wrap your power cable so that way it doesn't get pulled out, and you have your toggle on off switch as well. On the front, you have your double headphone sockets, so that way you can use your 1/8 inch or your 1/4 inch. And you also have your level down here, so you can change the level as well. And you can also use these simultaneously if you want. Over here to the side, you have your microphone level. You have your microphone port on the back. And here is your volume level meter right here as well. All right, so here it is, the Pioneer DDJ-RR. Again, if this looks any type of familiar to you, it kind of should if you're in the DJ game, because this is basically the same kind of body, same structure as the released Pioneer DDJ-SR. The SR, again, is for Serato DJ. This is the RR, which of course is designated for Rekordbox DJ, but you have the same kind of style of form factor. You have the same nice aluminum top jog wheels and aluminum top for the actual top panel of the controller. It's very durable, nice and compact, good weight to it. It's perfect for those DJs who are on the go or DJs who don't have that big or that much of space in the DJ booth when they go and set up. And this will fit nicely in most DJ booths, different clubs, and in different setups. So it's a very nice form factor. This is excellent for your controller DJ. It's not as big as the DDJ-RX or the DDJ-RZ that may be hard and cumbersome to move around, and of course to fit inside of a DJ booth. So nice controller all around, good build quality, good size, good form factor, very easy to set up as well. All you have to do is plug in your power lead, plug in your USB for your computer, plug in your outputs, and you have the inputs as well, DVS ready inputs on the back, so in case you want to put your turntables or your CDJs connected to this and still play back your Rekordbox files using that DVS style control, the option is there for you on the DDJ-RR. As soon as you plug everything up, you can go to the Pioneer DJ website or the Rekordbox website as well and download the Rekordbox software. You can then download the new firmware update for the DDJ-RR right from the Pioneer website. And once you have these two things, you'll be able to start playing the music that is found on your computer using Rekordbox DJ. So we'll just go through the middle mixing section of the controller first. All the way at the bottom, you have a nice, sharp, crisp crossfader. I don't think it's a Magvel fader, but it is very crisp, and I was able to do easy chirps and tears, and it really felt good for scratching and for mixing. It's nice and loose. Next up is your channel faders, and the channel faders have more resistance to them, and they feel really good for accurate, smooth mixing as well. And in the middle of that, you have your level indicators, which show your LED for your master, overall master levels, as well as channel 1 and channel 2. You have your cue buttons here, so that way you can cue up and listen in your headphones to different channels. You also have a sampler section here, so you can cue up what's in the sampler as well. You also can sync your sampler to your different tracks that are playing, and that's for the sync button that you see here. You have a sampler volume control knob, so that way you can control the sampler within Rekordbox DJ, as the volume knob is separate from your tracks, of course. Next up in the middle is your headphone mixing, which you can change between your master output or whatever you have queued up in your headphones. You can just press the cue button and you'll be able to hear what's in your queue. Next up, you have your booth monitor volume control knob. This controls the output of the TRS outputs on the back, and the master level knob controls the XLR and RCA outputs on the rear. Next up, you have a browsing and loading style section up at the top. You have a back and a tag track button, so that way you can tag the tracks how you wish, how you see fit, so you can call them back up later. You can also press shift and back. It brings you to the other area, so that way you can go between your playlist and different tracks that you have related. And then you can press shift and tag track, and that will pull up your related tracks as well. Nice oversized browse knob, so that way you can browse through your folders and through your tracks. And when you have a track highlighted that you're ready to go, you just press the load button on either side, and that will load up the actual deck. This is a 2 or 4 deck controller. You can control deck 1, we're using the switch here, deck 2 using the switch here. When you want to control deck 3, you switch that over. We're now in deck 3. Switch that over, that side's now in deck 4. And you can see the colors, rings of the LEDs change on each of your jog wheels to represent which track you're in. And you can switch this between phono and line inputs, so that way you can use your phono and line puts on the rear of the DDJ-RR. Next up, you also have your low, mid, and high EQs. These are not full kill EQs, but they're really nice sounding, really nice to use. You have your trim or gain volume knob at the top, and then you have your low pass, high pass filter knob with the middle indent, so that way you know when you have it turned off or on. Next up, we'll move over to the deck controls. The decks are not mirrored, they're actually identical. And that is more familiar with a CDJ style layout, and that's what they're using here on their controllers as well as on the DDJ-RR. Okay, so all the way at the top we have the effects sections, 2 modules, and you have 3 effects per module, similar to what you see in Serato DJ and in Tractor. Rekordbox has that as well. You have your FX select on, so that way you can turn them on, or you can hit shift and then you can hit your effect, and that way you'll be able to change the effect that you have in that bank: delay, echo, spiral, reverb, reverse delay, MT delay, up echo, down echo, transform, pan, filter, flanger, phaser, slip roll, roll, rev roll, robot, pitch, and then again you're back to delay. So that is quite a bit of different effects that you have within Rekordbox DJ. A lot of those effects are already on the DJM style mixers in the clubs, so that's a really cool feature to have here on the actual DJ controllers now. So again, you have your 3 effect banks, and you also have your parameter knobs here. You also have your beat adjust options here for your effects, and you also have your release effects knob here, which allows you to choose a release effect of your choice, such as a backspin, vinyl break, echo, so that way you can quickly and easily release all of your effects. Next up, you have your small tempo sliders or your pitch sliders here. This is one of my minor gripes with the unit. I'd rather have a longer throw tempo slider so that way you can accurately and nicely adjust that pitch, but you'll still be able to pull off all your basic mixing here with the pitch slider that you have here, but I just rather see it longer so that way you can get a more accurate, smooth mixing experience. Next up, you have a tempo range or master tempo button, so that way you can change the range of your tempo here, or you can go back to absolute 0 really quickly. You have a slip button here, so that way you can use slip mode. It's similar to Serato DJ slip mode as well, and you can change the operation of your jog wheel from vinyl to jog mode using this button as well, or shift and the slip button. Next, you have your slip reverse, so this way when a track is playing and you want to quickly bleep out a curse word or something like that, you can just hold down the button for a second and it will slip reverse and it will keep playing underneath, so as soon as that word is completed, it will continue to play. You have a grid adjust here. You want to make sure all your grids are nice and even, so that way when you're using your effects and when you're using quantize mode and you're using loops, everything stays within time. So you need to make sure that all your tracks are right on the grid as they're supposed to, and you can adjust them using the adjust button and the slide button here, and you can half or you can double the amount of your slide or your adjustment. So really easy to do right here with your jog wheel using the grid adjust right here, and you'll be able to see it on the screen as you're making those adjustments. You have a shift button here which allows you to enact the secondary measure of your button, which is the artwork that you see at the bottom of all these buttons here. They'll allow you to easily jump to another function for the same button. You have your sync button, which is also master when you press shift. You have your cue play button, then you have your play pause button all the way at the bottom. These are metal and they feel really similar, just like what they have on the CDJs. Very tactile, very easy to perform with. Over here to the right, you have your sequencer section. This is what's new on here, and you can load your sequencers. You can also overdub, and you can play your sequences back, and it's very, very cool and easy to use. All you have to do is go to your sampler, and you want to load in different sounds to your sampler, such as snare, hi-hat, and something like a bass kick, and then you'll be able to start recording. And once you start recording, you play your different arrangement that you want. Then you'll be able to stop the recording, save it, you can play it, you can actually hit overdub, and you can overdub another sequence on top of that, and then you can actually save the track immediately, and once you save that track immediately, it'll go into your library and you can play it back right away. Really, really powerful stuff here with the sequencer on board. Next up, you have a loop section. Pioneer gear seems to have loop sections just like this everywhere. You have your auto beat loop. You can change the count of the beat by half or by double. You can also do manual loops here, in and out, and you also have secondary functions such as active loop, loop move, re-loop exit, or re-trigger when you press shift and use these same buttons. Next up is your RGB performance pad section. Here you have hot cue or you have beat jump. When it's under hot cue, you guys can just grab your hot cues as normal, and in order to delete them, you press shift and the cue that you want to delete. Next up, you have pad effects. Pad effects is something a little bit different. It's a pad effects 1 and a pad effects 2, so we're going to demo this for you. Basically, they have different effects set up in these sections where you can have like a V-break, a reverb, or a filter, and the top will be something like a slip roll, so that way you can use them in tandem with one another. The first pad effects 1 is set up where it's like a slip roll at the top, and then you have your V-break, your filter, and your reverb. And then the second one is set up so where you have like a transform style effect at the top and other different functions and effects down at the bottom. So we'll show you something real quick on that so you guys can see what that operation is like. Oh yeah. features in here and functions with the pad FX. That's different from anything else that I've seen before. Then you have your slicer, which actually slices the track up into 8 equal parts, and you can play it back and slice. You guys have seen that before. And you also have your sampler section, which allows you to access all the banks of your sampler. You'll be able to play all your banks, and again, you can use your sampler in order to start your recording for your sequencer. And the secondary section for the sampler is a sequence call, so that way you have your sequences saved in here. You'll be able to call them back up and play them on the fly. So in conclusion, the new Pioneer DDJ-RR Rekordbox DJ controller is, in my opinion, my favorite compact DJ controller for Rekordbox DJ software. It's excellent layout, it has a nice smooth surface to it, nice build quality all around, and it has lots and lots of features that are inherent in the Rekordbox DJ software. You also have these 16 RGB backlit pads, unlike the SR that only had blue backlit pads. These are RGB, so you can see at a glance what your different coloring scheme is for your hot cues, and you can also see what kind of mode you're in with the slicer, the sampler, sequence mode. So everything is really easy to see. They are very tactile, they're rubber and squishy, and they're very, very nice to play with. You also have that really powerful sequencer that's on board that allows you to play and drum with your samples. You can record that, then you can overdub, you can record it all together as a separate track, and you can recall these on the fly and play them back immediately using the Rekordbox software. You also have these inputs that are on the back of the unit that are actually DVS enabled inputs, meaning you can put your record decks or your CDJ decks onto this using your RCA cables, and you'll already be ready to play back within Rekordbox DJ using the software to play back your tracks. On the downside, the pitch sliders are really small, so it's kind of hard to accurately find your pitch. You can definitely do your manual pitch match here, but it is a little bit more difficult as opposed to when you have a longer pitch slider. You also don't have any LED indicators on the actual jog wheels. It's one of my minor gripes here, because a lot of times when I was doing some scratching or juggling, I was hoping to see some type of indicator on the actual jog wheel, whether it be the ring needle or a needle in the middle, so that way I didn't have to always continuously look at my laptop. So this is an excellent controller, great for anybody who really wants to get into the Rekordbox DJ stratosphere and really have a full feature controller in a small, nice, compact footprint. So for more on the full written review or the review summary, you guys can head on over to www.djbooth.net/DJS. Then you can search in the search bar for DDJ-RR, and you guys will see the review up there and a lot of other info on the DDJ-RR. So make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you hit the thumbs up if you like the video. And as always, thanks for watching.